Has anything happened in the last couple weeks in comic book land? You know, are there any interesting stories going on in this hobby? Oh, there are. The three biggest stories to actually have occurred in the entirety of 2023 all happened within the last 2 weeks here in the month of December as we go into 2024. Oh, interesting. Must be a busy time out there for a lot of content creators and the social media space, and conversations going on and forum discussions and ad hominem attacks and all of this sort of stuff. Man, what a way to end the year, folks. What a way to end the year. Well, in this video, I thought it'd be a good time to have another, collector's corner conversation with you guys here. In the collector's corner, we get to be a little more up close, have a little more personal of a conversation. You guys can get really, really close to me. Okay, wait, don't get that close. Don't get that close. I probably lost some people that they were like, whoa, who's this guy? Clicked off the video. 100%, somebody clicked off the video right when I did that little camera trick. But you should stick around. All right. I wanted to make this video here, have this conversation, do a little shoot from the hip, little powwow here, talk a lot about, some of the stuff that's still been going on. Obviously, this CGC story is like I've already said in other videos, the biggest story that has, occurred, in my opinion, since the time in which I've been doing comic book YouTube content, going all the way back to 2020. I would even go so far to say that even years prior to that, I don't know of any, sort of scandal or scam or story or situation that has occurred in comic books that could rival effectively what is going on, with this story. I've made my videos about it. I've done my coverage about it. There's information out there. There's other people doing content about it now. There's the CGC forums, people constantly unearthing other stuff. It feels very apparent at this point that, it's not just these handful of books that we've talked about, that it's actually going to be a lot of books over the course of many, many years that this has been going on. And, I've kind of wanted to do a video here where we can sort of maybe frame the conversation with that story, but then lead it on to, where we go from here, because now that we have this information out there, now that everyone's talking about it, what do we want to do about it? Where do we go, now? And to me, I think I've sort of made the decision that, at least on my YouTube channel here, covering this content, this is one of those stories that, like, I can make a video about this, like, every single new whatever post, right, that comes out. Oh, here's the next book, here's the next book, here's the next book, oh, here's the next scam, whatever. But I think we're past that, I think at this point it's taken a life of its own, and really the only thing to talk about now for the story is what CGC ultimately is going to do about it. Are they going to come out with a statement? Are they going to address this? I think that, for me personally, I'm going to wait to see what they have to say. And I'm sure that I will address that in some kind of video form. But there's not much else to add at this point in the story. Because like I started with this conversation, we're at that place where, now the ad hominem attacks are coming in, right? Like now it's becoming, as you dig into these forums and stuff, now it's not just the original story. It's becoming like the argument of, like, people who are pro CGC versus anti CGC, graded comic books versus raw comic books, influencers, social media, Swaggle is making videos and blah 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 and whatever, and it's we get to this place where we lose sight of things, sight of the prize. We got to keep our eye on the ball here, and that's really, I think, where I wanted to kind of have this conversation with you guys here today. Even setting aside the CGC story, and thinking about, a couple weeks ago, Glen from the Comic Palace having his rant about writing and comic books and the current state of modern comic book publishing and everything going on with, the MCU and Jonathan Majors and that whole, Titanic that is going down and all this sort of stuff. And, here to round out the year, there is just a complete negativity spiral, a complete, implosion of everything related to comic books, from the collecting side, from the pop culture side, to the modern publishing side. Seemingly, that is the case. And what I also think is really interesting is, how much, you now start to see, at least in my sphere of content that I watch on YouTube, like how a lot of people are now being the doomsayers of market crashing and talking about this stuff and comic books going down and all this sort of stuff, or collectibles, or even just in the finance world. And it's a really interesting thing because, now that it is the popular thing to discuss, now that it is the popular point of view, now that most people think that the market is, crashing and all this sort of stuff. I mean, the funny thing about that is, like, going back to the Warren Buffett thing is, like, be greedy when others are fearful, fearful when others are greedy. It's like, now that everyone is fearful, it's like, this is the time, this is the time to be greedy. This is now the eye on the prize stuff. Like, while there's all this negativity, while you're like, I'm done with the MCU, I hate new comic books, CGC is over, blah, 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 whatever. Like, this is where you got to weather the storm. Eye on the prize. We got to cut through the noise, tunnel vision here. What did you get into comic books for? What were your goals getting into comic book collecting, with all this stuff going on? You got to remember, like, what it was all about, personally, whether it's just somebody who likes to collect because you just have fun doing it, you like watching Marvel movies and you like to learn about the stories after that, or, you like to collect really, really expensive high-end stuff that are, CGC 99, Mark Jeweler, newsstand, whatever, variant cover, error variants. Like, this is the time to at least start to go after that, and as negative as some of the things feel out there, I gotta say, for me personally, with my own, like, collecting journey, I've never had as much fun going to comic book stores as I have in these last 3 to 6 months or so, because of the fact that their foot traffic is so low now. Like, the competition is so much less. Like, so many people have churned from the hobby. New inventory has popped up. Collections have come in. A lot of people checking out. It's a delight to be able to just go around to shops in my area here in Los Angeles and just check out all the new stuff that they got coming in and pick up books and just let books come to me and be like, oh, cool, I've never owned that. Yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. Oh, hey, I finish out my run over here. They got all this fresh stuff. It's all high grade. This is really, really cool. And I think that that's something, as we round out the year, one of the things that, for me, I think it's important to just kind of share that message with anyone out there who wants to listen again. Like, this is such a great time. You got to, even though things feel negative, even though things feel dire on all fronts, you can have so much fun still collecting comic books today. Here on this channel, I spend a lot of time doing, market reports and talking about, comic books and values, and I do the index thing and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's an interesting space for me to exist in, what I think that I am versus how I project onto the community and onto the world, what people think my YouTube is, what I think my YouTube is. They're not always the same thing. But as I've stated in other videos, I am interested in values of comic books because I want to make educated purchases for my own comic book collecting purposes. That is why I do that. And now that I have a YouTube channel that, has an audience of people who want to watch it, I feel like that's the value that I can provide back to the community, is to, be able to kind of distill down, some of the market conversations and, share it with you guys, and then whatever you guys want to do with it. If you're somebody out there who's a speculator or a flipper or just a collector who wants to be a savvy buyer, or you're a comic book dealer, or whatever it is, like, you guys just take this information and go about your, journey with it. That's the idea of what it is. And then for, me, I have my comic book business that I've done, that is a publishing company. I make my own comic books and I do this stuff. And, again, like I always say, there should be some exchange of value in this, relationship that we have with each other. Now, I realize that not everyone views me in that same sort of light, or, all other YouTubers, or even just other social media people. And that's totally fine. Like, you can't control, any version of how people want to see you or whatever. It just is what it is. But again, I can only stick to the message that I believe to be true, and the one that I live by myself, which again is the point of this video, where it's like, yes, again, we are in this time right now where there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of, seeming implosion going on with everything in the comic book hobby, but this is the time to wade that all out, keep your eye on the prize, and keep moving forward to whatever your collecting goals are. I think now too, especially with the value stuff, we talk about the values going down. Everyone runs their collection differently. I've always said here on the channel, I've always cited Marie Kondo, the art of tidying up, what comic books in your collection spark joy. I talk about, the idea of running your comic book collection like the general manager of a sports franchise. One of my best videos, man, how long ago was that? That was like 2 years ago. Such a good video, now lost in the annals of YouTube's history. Nobody ever watches old content anymore. So they just want to know what's going on right now. But, I've always stuck by that. And I've always kind of had that feeling of like, okay, you always reassess your collection. Now is a great time. You can move on with some of the books that you want to move on with, which I always do, and, free up some cash to take advantage of prices in other places. And, hey, maybe 2024 is going to be even worse. Maybe things are going to crash another 80%. I don't actually know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just going to do the index and continue to present you guys with the information, and then you guys can make your own determinations of, how you want to operate in this space. It's hard to predict the bottom. Nobody can predict the bottom. You just got to kind of dollar cost average. But again, this is not financial advice. Again, remember, look at all the books behind me. How many Darkhawks do you think I have in my collection? Way too many. But I did want to make this video and once again kind of, address all of the conversations going on, the current situation with CGC, and just really say that, I don't know if there's anything else I can really add to this story anymore. I'll certainly cover when CGC, addresses this. I certainly hope they address this. I would love to have, Matt Nelson on my channel. I have the Swagglecast series that I do. I think that he would be a great person to have on, or anyone at CGC. I'll talk to anybody over there because I want to be able to provide that value and transparency to, the people that watch. I mean, I'm interested in hearing their perspectives myself. And so I think that there's probably going to be other people out there that are interested in hearing their perspectives as well. That's really why I started that series, is so that I could have, long, in-depth conversations where I can also do this, right? Where we could just be like candid about how we talk about stuff. Because, obviously if I'm over there, doing the video, it's a different feeling. It's a different tone, right? Because I'm presenting as opposed to spitballing. So anyways, I think that's all I got for this one. Just a shorter collector corner today, talking about, the implosion of our community, but using this as an opportunity to remind you guys to, keep the eye on the prize. I realize that I'm not trying to excuse myself of like being part of the problem that generates drama or whatever. I try genuinely not to create drama on this stuff. Maybe you guys feel otherwise. I view my role as somebody who can, talk about current events and stuff that goes on within comic collecting and secondary market. And I try to present that to you guys, and I realize that probably spurs drama in some sort of way. And, there's a careful balance of being like a YouTuber where it's like, oh, I got to talk about this, but I don't want to, just abuse the drama just to talk about the drama. I'm trying to genuinely make sure that there's always valuable information within each new segment of it. I don't want to just turn into like a clickbait channel. So the point of this is just to say that, like, hey, look, the story's out there. It's going on. A lot of interesting conversation. There's going to be new discoveries, new books, new scams going on, all related to this. But at this point, the only thing that really, really matters is what CGC has to say. What are they going to do about this? And more importantly, I want them to address it. Not just what are they going to do, like to fix it. Like, oh, we fixed our reholdering program. Like, no. What happened? Tell us what happened. I definitely think that the community needs to hear that. But until then, I mean, there's nothing really else we can do. So I'm going to try to figure out that balance of how much to continue to put the pressure on. I think it's good that I think other channels are doing some content on it. That's fine. CGC can feel the heat out there. The forum obviously is going to always continue to pop off. People on Instagram are always going to talk about it, have conversations there. And I think that that's generally good. But what I really do hope is, guys, you know how these things go, right? Like we all get up in arms about CGC. We grab our pitchforks, and then a week from now, we're going into Christmas. Merry Christmas, by the way. We're going into the new year, and everyone is very, very quick to forget, and I'm sure that CGC is thinking to themselves, hey, how do we do our best like Ninja Turtle here? Just, stick our head in the shell and just wait it out, weather the storm, and get to, 2024 to when people are not going to worry about things anymore. And basically everyone, I don't know, who's next? CGC screwed up. Now it's CBCS's turn to screw up. So I'm sure CBCS is going to do something stupid, and then we're all going to look that way, and we're all going to yell at CBCS, and then CGC is going to be over there going like, oh, thank God. Thankfully, everyone's yelling at CBCS again, and then we're just going to ping pong back and forth. But this time, let's not do that. Let's not forget what's going on with this current situation. And I also want to just say, we don't need to burn it down, right? We don't need CGC to completely just get destroyed and fall off the face of the earth. Like we actually want to hear from them. So we should create a inviting community that wants answers. Not an angry mob, an inviting community. And similarly, the other figureheads in the comic book collecting hobby, like Comic Connect, Vince, people like that, big dealers that have, relationships with CGC, Heritage. I mean, there's no face of Heritage, so they're never going to say anything about this. But, other people, figureheads that are in the space that can also ask the questions. And again, not come at it from a place of, oh, CGC has always been a scam or whatever it is, but actually, have it be something that we as a community can kind of work together to figure out the answers so that we can have, the sunlight to disinfect whatever is happening underneath the hood over there in Florida. Well, I think that's all I got for this video. Just another collector's corner here talking about, the implosion of our favorite hobby, favorite industry, current modern comic publishing with bad writers, CGC, the MCU, Jonathan Majors. I still kind of like Kang the Conqueror. I mean, I don't like MCU's take on Kang the Conqueror, but I actually like the character. I'm one of those people. I actually like him. Nobody else does, though. Bring on Doom. Screw Kang. We want Doom. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Keep your eye on the prize. It's a great time to enjoy comic books. Just gotta tune it all out. But not me. Don't tune me out. Because I'm going to still talk about stuff that's interesting and fun and important. Magic the Gathering, the Shadow Mage. Still sealed in the poly bag. Has the Fireball card in it. The Fireball card alone is worth like $3 or $4. So that right there is a steal, being a $5 book. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up now. I got nothing else to say. I'm going to do some hunting. Peace out.